so much for coming out for our workshop meeting. We want to announce that we have a couple of councilors out sick and one councilor is unable to be here tonight. We must have a forum in order to have our workshop meeting. So that is, unless Councilor Monroe arrives before these presentations. What I'm going to make, we've invited 3 professional groups who will provide webmaster services or apply to provide webmaster services to the borough of Yeadon. We're going to have them come and make their presentations. The floor will be open. You can ask as many questions as you like. Whatever information that is provided, I'm sure they will make it simple for us to understand and wow, and show what, I didn't realize it was that loud. Am I that loud away from you? Okay, so we'll start with Jan. If you want to come up to our platform here, microphone, and make your presentation. Thank you.
The order.
Hold it. What's that? All right. Hi, everybody. My name is. Okay, you can hear me. Probably hear without this thing. My name is Jan. I'm with a company called Mostly Web.
There we go. All right, that's good. All right, again, so my name is Jan. I'm with a company called Mostly Web. We've been creating websites since 1996. So I've been doing this for quite a while. Originally, I was part of a team that we created the first 1 million page website for U.S. healthcare, and things have changed quite a bit since. Things used to be quite complicated, building these massive systems and stuff, and these days WordPress has really made everything very easy and affordable as well. I'm not sure how many people here have seen the proposal. I was under the impression that it was just kind of do a brief presentation and then you can ask me any questions you would like.
Where is it?
I'm sorry?
Are there copies of the proposal? No, sir. They're meant for council members at this time.
Okay.
That's helpful, sir.
All right, so I will.
How are residents supposed to give input?
I will. You can give input on my presentation.
Not for the residents?
All right, so typically when we go about building websites, there's obviously a few phases for us to get through. The first one is for us to find out, but beyond my personal experience with the existing website, which has its issues. I kind of inherited it, I migrated it, and we've been limping along and made it work. It's functional, it's getting traffic, but it's far from ideal in terms of people being able to find the information they're looking for, and it's also quite time-consuming for us to be able to post information to the website. It's a graphic intensive where it does not need to be. Anyway, you've all seen the website, so you probably all have your own issues with it. So the first thing I'll say about our proposal is that everything I do is basically in an up to X amount of hours. I have to basically guess how long I think certain things are going to take, so I'm always going to pick a higher number if the assumption is that if we are somewhat efficient, then we'll always be able to come out under and never over. So the first thing is the standard discovery phase, where we're basically decide my own thoughts on everything, that I would talk to council members and people involved with the website to kind of find out what else that they really need. Some of that has happened already. We will then kind of produce a document that basically reiterates what all that, what it is that we're trying to do. There's a fair amount of work that goes in configuring the server for a new website. Obviously, we have to maintain the existing website while we create a new one, so we have to create like a temporary .yeadonborough.com website, and then be able to develop that. Everybody can look at it, and we can port all the content to it, and once we're ready to go live, we would then make the switch. That's going to take about 4 hours for me to basically set up all that. One of the heavier chunks is this. The two biggest tasks are obviously coming up with the design and then translating that design into a web template. So I'm not sure how many web people are here, but basically I already spent a few hours looking at other borough websites from all over the country. We've been going through some of the reviews of the things we like and don't like. Once we pick kind of like 3 of the sites that I think would work best, we can go through a process of kind of picking the one, and once we decide what it is exactly that we want, then we need to create the themes and the templates and stuff and create the website that looks just like that. So that's up to about 40 hours. It's a lot of work. It also includes kind of all the design stuff that goes with it in terms of fonts, typography, size of the graphics, all of that goes into the design. I have some time in here for, our photography is quite weak. I've gone through every picture that's on the website, and there's not a lot of stuff there. So we need to get either a photographer or perhaps locally sourced people have good pictures to use. There's a fair amount of work that goes into for me to process those images to make them presentable and high enough quality for the website. To give you an example, since I really had almost nothing to work with, I went on Google Maps, took a picture, and then spent some time taking all the power lines out and all that kind of stuff just to be able to use something, right? So anytime you get a photo, you have to mess with the colors, you have to perhaps take some stuff out, add some stuff, etc. So I have some time in here for me to be able to accomplish all that. So currently you have over 1,000 posts and pages on your website. That's a lot of stuff. So, and again, have about anywhere up to 40 hours for us to be able to port all them over, redo some of these pages, and really spend, obviously we're not going to look at all 1,000 pages other than when we have to, meaning, you know, if they're heavily tied to the template and things have changed and we have to mess with them, then we will. But all of what we call the jump pages, when you go to a major section of the website, those ought to look good and be presentable, and so that's what we'll focus our time on. There's a fair amount of content cleanup. Anytime you change from one website structure to another, we have to kind of look for what some of these other old theme-dependent, what they call tags and things and short codes are in there. We'll have to replace and make sure that this is all working well with the new website. I expect that there's going to be a fair amount of content reorganization, like things that may live here now, and after we all look at the sitemap and decide perhaps it's not in the right place, they ought to be elsewhere. So I have some time in there for that. I have some time in here for account organization, meaning I know you have a Facebook page that you don't really have access to, and there's other social media efforts that are either under the control of other people. I've put a little time in here for us to kind of revisit being able to get control over some of those accounts. In some cases, it's just a matter of filling out forms with some of those providers for us to get control over those accounts again. Once the development website is the way we want it and all the stakeholders agree that's what we want, then obviously there's going to be some amount of time for us to make that site live. So it's between 2 and 4 hours for us to basically replace all the URLs from dev dot to www dot. Then I have some time in here for us to secure the website and set up automated backups. Basically anytime anybody touches the website, whether it's me or somebody else, it'll do an automatic backup before anything happens. We'll set up security stuff. We'll deal with caching to make sure the site is as fast as possible. Another thing that I was asked to look at, and we did some basic stuff to at least discover that there are solutions out there. We want to be able to send text messages to residents of varying topics. So it's kind of a vague thing right now, but other than that, we definitely want to be able to push text messages to people to then either come to the website to learn more or just urgent messages, etc. So there's a lot of solutions out there that would let us do that. So I have some time in here to basically kind of figure out what the most popular, best working solutions are for that, and then for us to be able to choose one. That's as far as the creation of the website then, that is anywhere up to about $11,000 total. And then there's a monthly maintenance of about $75 a month. That's separate where we'll review the security logs. We will, obviously keep everything up to date, do the backups, and do brief review of the logs, and then take action as needed. And for content additions, every time somebody needs something posted to the website, obviously there's time involved there. So what we would do, it really varies. Like the more stuff I get, the more hours are going to add up. So we're anticipating anywhere up to about $700 and $750 a month for content additions. Some things like the chat and chew and the new police chiefs events, those types of things, we spend a lot more time obviously than some of the other events that we're just basically putting up flyers of the library or anybody else. So that's basically, I'm trying to keep this as quick as possible. So the upfront will be about 11,000, and then an ongoing of 75 for server maintenance, and obviously the content additions as needed. And again, everything is up to. I don't expect we'll need all that, but I do realize that it's a lot harder to come back at everybody here saying, oh, I know I said that, but now we need more. So to avoid that, I just kind of front load it with, and it's my experience that this is a reasonable for the size site that we're dealing with. So I'm available there too if anybody has other questions, or you're free to ask me questions now if you have any.
What was the total bottom line for the first year?
So the upfront would be about 11, and then it's about, it really depends on how much we're doing on a monthly basis. It's another $750 per month. So that's what?
750 or 750 plus per month? What's your, what range are you working on there?
I believe that the 750 a month is based on what we've been doing. So unless we do a lot of big events where, special brochures and things that are kind of out of the scope that we normally do, if it's just a flyer every other day and meeting agendas and posting videos and everything that we've been doing, then it's up to 750 a month to do all that, which is a fair amount of work involved currently to do all that.
Do you work for other municipal governments?
I have clients in almost every industry, and this is my only municipal government project that I'm working on.
So you're learning as you go along what the needs are particularly on this situation.
Well, I wouldn't say that's, I mean, to be fair, I've been doing websites for longer than I care to remember at this point. So no, not really. I don't feel like there's much here to learn. I started in the print industry. For me, it's always about presenting information in a legible way that people can understand with design aesthetics and stuff. So in terms of, and as a constituent, as a citizen myself, using, city websites, and looking also, frankly, I went through a discovery phase looking at a bunch of other borough websites, and there's clearly things that we can do much better. So yeah, there's some learning involved, but it's really more what your needs are. And I can easily get into your shoes because it's your need for a website is the same as what I would want out of a website in terms of finding information that we're looking for.
I thought of the nonprofit agencies. You work in nonprofit
I have
organizations?
tons. I used to be the go-to guy for Robert Wood Johnson for a bunch of health-related stuff. It's 50-50 at this point in terms of nonprofit versus .com websites that I do.
So I believe that the question, hi, Latoya Monroe.
Hi.
I believe that the question may have been relating to understanding the needs of what a government website might have, because
Your voice is not projected.
okay.
So
So yeah, I guess some clarification that I wanted to I believe to the question that was asked is that there are certain requirements of a government website that would and I'm wondering if you have that background where like we have certain requirements as a government entity, like we have to have things posted within a certain time frame within
yeah, so I whatever those requirements are is kind of what I'm dealing with currently. Like you tell me to post stuff, I'm available and I post them within X amount of time. Obviously there's, so one of the things that I think the new website has to accomplish is make it easier to be able to post information. I was certainly encouraged by, setting up WordPress and stuff, that it's certainly possible that people other than myself, including Yeadon personnel, should be able to and will be able to post information as needed as well. So in terms of turnaround time, like I get stuff that gets done within a day, almost always, right? Unless it's labeled to be non-important. So I'm not sure how much more there is to learn other than you telling me in advance that content needs to be uploaded X amount of time. I know there's a requirement in the videos in terms of post-meeting, how long that needs to take. Obviously, the agendas, as I get them, I put them up as soon as possible. But on the other hand, the reverse is true also. I don't really know when I'm going to get stuff either. I get stuff and then I know it needs to go up as soon as possible. It's obviously easier for us to plan and make arrangements and ensure turnaround if we also know if there's some kind of editorial calendar where we know when stuff is going to show up. So.
Are you also an employee of WaitTech?
No, I mean, I work for them, yes, I do the work for their web stuff for WaitTech, yes.
So you do the...
So there's server maintenance that I do for them.
So, I'm sorry, you do their website or you work?
I happen to do their website also, but yeah, I'm kind of their web person, so they do mostly networking and all kinds of other stuff, right? Server management things, and whenever they have web-related work, they typically farm it out to me.
Okay, so is there any overlap between the services that WaitTech already provides us and what?
No, none.
Will be
One is keeping things up to date. Like I go in, I see what's up to date, I do a backup. I first do the backup, then get everything up to date, typically once a month, or unless I'm also on all of these lists that'll inform me if there's any urgent zero-day vulnerability stuff that needs to be tended to immediately, in which case I go through every client immediately and do stuff. Typically, though, it's just once a month I go in, make sure everything is updated. It has nothing to do with the creation of content or anything else.
I have a question. This is actually for all the members here, when they speak to the internet. But in the back end, content management, maintenance of it, will there be trained for staff, if they need to update accordingly? Is it user-friendly for the staff to possibly make updates down the line?
Yeah, that's the whole point of using a content management system, that I'm not really the only one, I'll do the work, but it's obviously set up for a multi-user system. It's easy to use. I would say you could find people almost anywhere that have working experience with WordPress to be able to do things. And even stuff on an iPad or even a phone now, it's workable. So it's really, it's set up for multiple people to be able to go in and manage the content of the website.
Hi, so are you currently managing the website?
I am.
You are, okay. So you said you put things on the website, you delete things off the website, so forth and so on, correct? Did you receive an instruction to have anything deleted within the last 30 days?
I got one today. I usually wait about 2-3 days so there's a facility on the website currently that after I create a post, that lets you basically say when you want it taken down. So typically I'll take like 2-3 days after something, I have it automatically expire, and you can pick how you want it to expire, but currently things just go to the trash like 2-3 days after. My reasoning for doing you could set it to anything, right? Mm-hmm. Today the trolley tour was urgent because they just had too many registrations, so they wanted it taken down immediately, but I feel like sometimes people know something was there, they wanted to see what it was or whatever, so I typically don't take it down the minute I usually wait a couple of days, and then in advance I'll tell it to expire 2-3 days after something is over.
So that's product that you put on the website?
It's part of the website currently.
Okay, because then I see on this website, it still has this outburst, disruption, and disorder.
Yeah,
And- Yeah,
it's not, so I'm the vendor.
uh-huh.
If I'm asked to take that down.
Oh,
then
you have to be asked to take that down?
Yeah, I'm not, like.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
asked.
No,
Oh,
I've asked.
oh, you asked.
I know, I, as a visitor to the website, I feel
You
like it
asked
adds a
if you
level.
could take that down.
Yeah, well, I've inquired whether that was still relevant and current or not, and then it's still up.
Oh, so they must have said it was still relevant, that's why it's still up there.
I honestly, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so somebody asked me to take something down, I take it down. Somebody asked me to put it up, I
So
put
what
it up.
about putting product up that you know lacks, what's the word I'm looking for? Integrity.
I'm not, I can't be asked to fact check and weigh in and.
So you just gonna put up whatever you're being told to put up despite if it
No, I
lacks
mean,
integrity?
if I feel.
No, I just wanna know. I mean, if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about, making $1, I can dig it, I understand, but.
No, it's nothing to do with that. I mean, it has something to do with that, but honestly, like, I'll push back and say, are you sure you want to do this? And I may say something else and do whatever, but at the end of the day, if the borough, my web contacts say, put this up, I'm gonna put it up. So I'll try to,
And who's your borough contact right now?
Mr. Dotson and Ms. Sapp.
Mr. Dotson and Ms. Sack. Mr. Dotson and Ms. Sack. Okay, all right.
I have a question. So you as a webmaster, as far as your expertise, and this is actually for all the people that's presenting today, where do your expertise as a webmaster come into play when you kind of goes along with what Councilor Rothcloud just mentioned? You don't believe this would be aesthetically pleasing to the general public or even a professional like you. I wouldn't want this. Basically, this is where I'm getting at. I would want, if I was a webmaster, my work to be undermined by stuff being put out there, and then it's going to reflect back on me as unprofessional. So where would you come into play and say, I don't think that's a good idea to put this on the website because it's not really going to make this website where it needs to be? So how would you handle that?
I'm always pretty frank.
And you give recommendations?
And I'll make a recommendation, but at the end of the day, it's your website. So there's almost every website I create, there's things about it I don't like
Right.
that don't always reflect from a design perspective
Right.
or whatever it may be. But I also recognize, especially for a borough website like this, that you're not going to want me to spend countless hours on tweaking the design and then submit you a bill for doing all that either, right? Like, some of
Right.
these things are short-lived, so, like,
It's a lot of chatter.
so, I feel like it's my job to come up with a framework that works best for you. To me, it's a content organization and presenting people with the most efficient way to get to the content that they're looking for. There's a lot of these other borough websites that I've looked at that do that quite well, but just you have your regular menus, but then you have other quick link like boxes and stuff. We can add a slider to the top that would help us kind of promote the stuff that's now these big blocks of stuff, right? So there's a lot of ideas we have that will make it better looking and more functional. But at the end of the day, you don't want me, to spend countless hours on tweaking everything just so I can make a resume piece out of it either. So you have to kind of navigate
Okay.
between total hours. So
How much do you get paid for your interim services?
how much am I getting paid for
How
what?
much are you getting paid for your interim services maintaining the website now?
$75 an hour.
So you said that you reviewed some other borough websites. Which ones do you think were successful, that had good content?
Forgot my glasses, so this is my backup from the car here. I looked at Glenview, Illinois, and when I look at this stuff, it's not necessarily the content, obviously, but it's really more the structure. So it's glenview.il.us, denvergov.org, I looked at. And really, that I have text here in the proposal to kind of tell people what it is I like about each one of them, right? Chattanooga.gov is something we looked at. And then there's a ton of other borough websites that we've looked at. But I would say the Glenview and Denver, there's pieces there that I think we really, particularly the Glenview site, architecturally, from a framework point of view, has all this stuff.
We don't need an architectural beauty here, we just need clear, concise information.
Right, I'm with you. That's why I spent a lot of time looking at this, and I believe that this offers that. Yeah?
Any other? Take it. Okay, G, Chigama. Thank you.
We're from Quadrant Enterprises. I'm going to give you a little bit about my background, and then we're going to go into what we put together based on what they gave us. I've been in this business for 26 years. I worked for multiple Fortune 500 companies. I've developed programs for the School District of Philadelphia. I have 3 degrees in technology. I have a master's in IT development as well. So this is something I've been doing forever. When they came to us, they asked us to take a look at their website and go over all of the things that needed to be changed. So we did that. We also created a mock-up of what we thought the look should be, and how we could make the content clearer, streamlined, to make sure that the content is updated in a quicker form. We have a policy when we do development, and we work with companies that on every other day we send out a form to you guys, and we say, what is your current updates? Within 8 hours of that form, those updates are made. What else? We also do something a little different in that we have a lot of staff. So when we're developing something, if we give you a quote for something, that quote is honored, it's never changed, there's never another number, it's never another bill, none of that. We give you a total quote for what it would cost for that year to maintain the site, to update, no matter what you send to us, no matter what you do, it's covered. G's portion of it is he does a lot of our social media. So the quote that we gave you guys was for 2 separate things, the website and then the social media portion of it. Because, and the maintenance for the whole year. So our proposal has a breakdown of the time that it would take for us to do the development, to going live, and quality assurance, all of those things. I know that you had a question about putting out stuff that you felt like, I'm trying to remember the questions as I come up here, because a lot of the stuff he said about doing the research, all of those things are across the board. But yes, when somebody sends us something, the first thing that it does when you give it to us is that it goes through quality assurance to make sure the spelling is correct, everything is okay, whatever. And then we have a contact person that we go to. If we see this and we're like, yo, this doesn't seem right, then we go to our contact person and say, hey, this doesn't seem right, this is why we believe that, and we put everything in writing. Nothing is verbal just for us. If we have a conversation with you, you get a follow-up email with us right after saying, hey, this is what was done, this is what we discussed, this is what's going on. That way everybody understands what's going on. I'm trying to remember questions. What were your?
Yeah, I said in regards to the content management, your back end.
Yes, training is included in our back end. We also included training for you guys, and we also included training for the citizens. Like, I know you guys have a lot of older citizens. We agree that as part of our thing that we would do the training for them as well.
When I mean training, I mean staff training to update the website stuff, not training to the.
No, any training that you guys require. it's part of our stuff. She can call and say, hey, I want training on this, we will come train.
I just also recommend it because seeing how I knew you guys wanted things featured on your site, like having a citizen be able to pay their taxes, things of that nature. I came to a council meeting previously and I talked to a lot of the citizens here, and a lot of them had problems even, and the site is not really no good now at all, but they had a lot of issues just, maneuvering around it. So I made sure that I, let them know I'll definitely be willing to host a class for them to just teach everybody the basics of managing if they have to do anything like pay their taxes or anything of that nature. Just make sure they be able to do it.
Also, with the training, I want to say that once we train the staff where they can do stuff as well, what will also be put in place is approvals. So, yeah, you might be able to come in, do a new article, do a new update or whatever, but then there'll be an approval phase where somebody else looks at it and approves so that everybody's not just posting stuff and it's going willy-nilly. There has to be an approval process to make sure that nothing goes out that shouldn't go out.
Somebody doesn't we have a small borough, and we don't have a big social media following, so is your cost today?
Yeah, my costs pretty much included everything, the growth of the social media platforms, trying to retrieve your Facebook that seemed to somebody took or went missing. I can't guarantee that we can get that page back. I can guarantee that we can get it removed because it's illegal for them to even act as their Yeadon Borough. We can get it removed and then create a new Facebook page if we can't retrieve it from them. But yeah, it's the growth in the web page, using my skills on a day-to-day basis. Like, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Taji. I'm the COO, so I pretty much do all the day-to-day stuff. I manage all the employees. I do all of that stuff. I'm the guy that's face you're gonna see. I'm the one running around. Pretty much the contact guy too, the person you'll probably talk to the most. But yeah, to answer that question, yes. It includes the whole shebang when it comes to the social media.
There are no extra charges from us.
We quoted everything based on a whole year of work, and we tied in the fact that things could change. I'm sorry.
One of the questions that we asked you in the interview was how would you drive traffic to our website knowing that it only has about 2% viewership right now?
Right, so.
In doing so, what we're trying to do is transition our residents from paper to the website.
Right. So a couple things that I remember we discussed, but one being a newsletter. So taking that newsletter from being hard copy to making it digital. So now forcing the newsletter to be digital, forcing the citizens to have to go online to receive that information, or force them to visit that website a lot more, tighten their emails, get that email list together. So now we're sending out blasts instead of people having to go to their door to get newspapers or however they getting their newsletters now. Also, another way to run up that traffic on that website is the social media end. So most of the traffic everybody knows, everything is social media now. Websites are even a little more obsolete now when it's coming to competing with social media. So you want to make sure that you have a strong social media presence. The way that I can help grow that in certain ways is just knowing what's trending on social media. So using the content that you guys create on a day-to-day basis, whether it's a council meeting or whether you guys are just doing an event, knowing what trends and which ways to run up that traffic on social media. So every social media changes every day for people who are on there frequently. A question?
Yes, so, I don't.
And I'll see you in the back.
Okay, I don't wanna, I guess for the benefit of the general public, I'm a counselor and I receive quotes between 4,000 and 54,000. It wasn't really, described or explained, excuse me, about why such a discrepancy in what was being offered
For our proposal?
and what the pricing was. So it's it just feels like for.
You mean like in general or for our proposal in particular?
Well, your proposal was on the other end. So like we had a proposal for 4,000.
I was only asking because of I had a full breakdown in the proposal. So without running ads, it's $52,000 for the whole year. $52,000 for the whole year.
So, excuse me. So wait, can I I just wanted to give you the opportunity to explain to us what the difference was between a $4,000 proposal and a $52,000. Like
Yeah, most definitely.
I was able to view it, and like, but the public was not able to. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to
let's
tell
go
the
through
public
the-
it's $52,000,
There was no, okay, that's fine. So, first of all, what happened was, they asked us to quote two different things. So they asked us to quote, taking over all social media, doing all social media posts, that means taking care of all of the design, graphics, moving traffic, doing the TikToks, doing the videos, doing the camera work, like everything. Like, nobody's giving that stuff to us, we would have to create it ourselves. And that part was social media. To do the redesign of the website, it was just 15. That's it. To do the redesign of the website itself. That was that quote by itself. And then the content reformatting was 4,000, and then branding, that came to 15. Those are separate from the social media. The social media is a separate cost. So every year on a yearly basis, it would be $5,000 to maintain the site for the whole year. So you will be sending us stuff, we will be updating it, but because you wanted a total redesign, that means you, like we said, you have hundreds and hundreds of pages. If you go online and do a quick search on how much it costs us to redesign hundreds of pages of sites, it'll tell you between $40,000 and $70,000. That's just the baseline of doing it. We usually fall on the lower end of doing that. If you were just saying, we just want you to maintain our site how you have it right now, it would be $5,000 for the year.
So I just want to make a clarification, because I'm looking at my email and I see Veda, Webmaster, Digital Marketing Proposal.
We're not big.
I know,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm just saying, that's the one that she said we didn't have a $4,000, it was $4,250. So
And that's for redesign, redevelopment of the whole site?
I don't know. They said these are our 3 webmaster proposals. So the red flag for me was that we had something that was 4,000 and then something that was 50.
Well, I can tell you, we would never do hundreds and hundreds of pages for $4,000, and I don't think most companies
Did you have the
won't.
name of the contractor?
That's me.
Councilman?
Just to say that.
Oh, Veda, okay. So we should have
Okay.
an opportunity to.
All right, I'm just saying, but understanding what we're faced with is that we have 3 proposals that run the gamut. So
I understand that.
we're not really comparing apples to apples, so I don't know that anyone on the low end or the high end really have a fair shot at letting us know what you're offering, because we're not comparing the same thing.
Right,
You
well,
understand what I'm
I don't know what other companies have. I know in our case, our company has multiple staff members. We have our own servers. We run our own hosting company. We control everything within. So we're not third partying anybody out. We own everything. So when you're talking about us, the people that we work with, the city, the government, we work with other government entities. We work with other cities. It is what it is when it comes to this pricing. We're not, we're on the low end. Like I said, if you do a quick Google search right now, you pull up your phone, it'll tell you $40,000 to $70,000.
And our turnaround time was
And our turnaround time, because you guys wanted it so quick, also became 4 weeks. So now I have to put in a amount of people that's going to move all that data, get it up and running within 4 weeks. So those people now have to be paid as well.
Trust me, I'm not telling you that your price is too anything, too high.
No, I understand that. I can break down every cost in there. So that means we have to have development. Part of your development was you wanted to be able to have your clients be able to decide if they wanted to go, when they come in, if they wanted to go to their phones, if they wanted to go to their emails, if they wanted to go to their house. That has to be rewritten. So now I need a coder to come in, rewrite the back end, and make sure that those things are done and working properly. And the QA person has to make sure that it works as well. Because we don't send anything out that doesn't get QA.
And then if we ever decided to go with a different company, how is it that you would turn over our website to us?
What do you mean?
Do we own it? Or
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you own everything. We don't own anything.
So if we decided to go with another company, you would.
First of all, when we come in, every login password, everything goes to the owner of that website. So when you leave a web company, if it's us, whoever you leave, you should own everything. And from day one, you should have every login, every password, you should have every image, you should have everything. You should have access to everything. If that's not the case, there's a problem. That should never happen.
Like that Facebook thing should never happen.
That should never, ever, ever, ever happen. If you see that happen, there's a pause. If somebody's not giving you your login information, if they're not giving you, if you can't control stuff, that's a pause.
Jerry Core, Hoff Communications.
Hire Jerry Core again.
Please, we have guests, can you please just
You
refrain
said you had a
from that?
question?
So when I was talking about the social media, how we have a low percentage, I was saying it because we have a very high demographic, where we have a small amount of people who actually utilize social media, and we have an aging community that don't use social media at all. So one of the main concerns is that a lot of the residents have asked for continually is a community messaging system.
Okay.
Where they want something, whether it's a phone call or whether it's on a text message alert, that's more important to them as opposed to social media paying to run around money.
But that's also a part of our code, just so you know.
Yeah.
That's absolutely, and that's a coding thing, where we would have to rewrite some things and do it, integration with the text messaging and the, email and
The newsletter stuff.
the newsletter stuff is just a rewriting of some code, but the text messaging does require integration with the text messaging provider.
I'm hearing, that people would be able to pay their taxes online.
Yes, he asked us to create an option for that.
Okay, because I'm confused why you were not asked to also include the ability for citizens to pay any and all fines or.
I think it was in totality.
I think it was in totality.
I don't think it
That's
was.
just what they
I
mentioned,
don't
but
think
we
it
have
was
no problem adding that. Again,
Okay,
just
so.
pretty much creating a payment portal that allowed y'all citizens to be able to not have to come in here to
Right.
drop a check off.
Okay.
That's why I said with our quote, all of that is in conjunction. Like they understood that they wanted to be able to contact us with whatever comes up and they don't want an extra bill. And so we added to make sure there's no other bills, whatever you call us for stuff.
For 365 days.
I have a question. In your opinion, what is better for a borough like ours? A retainer company or a hourly company?
I'm gonna say that it's dependent. I'm gonna always go with the year. If your person that you retain, now, like she said, our quote is rock solid. So that you know once you pay our quote that you won't come out your pocket again, even if you need 100 images in February and 370 in March. You know what I mean? There will be no upcharges because you pay for us to be your web designer, you pay for us to maintenance it throughout the year, you pay for all of those things up front. Now, on the flip side, when you're going with an hourly person, the issue is it can always end up being more costly in the end because you're not only are you paying them hourly too, you're paying if any problems arise. So, you know, in the technical world, problems are going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Like she said, we own our own servers. We've been in business a long time. We've had servers go down on us, you know what I mean, things of that nature. So when you're dealing with an hourly person, that's the only red flag I would say is a lot of times by the end of that 12 months, you probably kicked out more money than you would have just retaining somebody for a whole year. Only if you can get that retainer person to not have no upcharges throughout the whole year. If this is going to be your quote for the year, and that's your quote for the year no matter what you require, then that's what I would go with. If you're going to be upcharged throughout the year, then you're pretty much paying hourly and retainer at that point.
Yeah.
You're not even on retainer because you still can charge me more money at month 6 if something isn't to your liking or whatever the case may be.
It doesn't matter what happens in this year, we take care of it. Any other questions?
You mentioned the possibility of people being able to pay bills online.
Yep.
Is that going to be through a provider, so there might be an extra cost somewhere in there?
Well, you guys, the first thing about paying online is the merchant account belongs to Yeadon. So once we create the whole portal and everything set up, what will happen is that the person who handles this case will then go in, put all of your information in, because that's personal, we don't get into that. But if there's a fee, it will come through their merchant. Normally for everybody it's about $2, I think it is, but I'm not sure because I don't know who their merchant is, but yes, it probably will be.
Most, yeah, most merchants have a fee though.
Because they would have it.
So if you use, like for instance, the major ones, PayPal, Square, Stripe, most of them are running processing fees at like.
Well, that's for them, not for them. He's asking
The
if there would be a
transaction
fee
fee.
for them.
Yeah, but I mean, but technically it is gonna be for them because they probably gonna charge on the front end.
But that's Yeadon's choice. We don't have anything to do with that.
That's true.
That's
It's true, but yeah.
Yes, that's probably a small.
But yeah, you should always expect a fee.
if you're the mother, right?
Yes,
He's the son. Right?
that's the son.
So that means you're right.
I don't wanna
That's
vote
the son.
for,
Anything else?
webmaster to come in and do it.
We
Yeah.
own,
You spend $50,000 for the webmaster, and they telling them what to put on, and they put it on, you understand?
Well, like she stated prior, so once you purchase your website, you own all of the files. You know, on the server does nothing but house your files. So at the end of the day, your files are zipped up in a compact file, and you can take them with you anywhere. Well, your next hosting company, just save it to your flash drive and keep it for next time, whatever you choose to do.
everything we do, we give you a full copy, so you go wherever you want, because it belongs to you. You have all your passwords, everything belongs to Yeadon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zakia Ringgold, and before I get started, I was perusing on Nextdoor today, and I saw someone said she's an event planner. Yes, I am. My background stems in 2002, where I graduated with a degree in computer and information systems. I then worked for about 15 years at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, developing training programs. And then the pandemic hit and something interesting happened. I quit my job and I started producing virtual and hybrid conferences because the world had shut down and we needed to find another solution in order to actually still meet virtually. And I was only able to do that because I had spent 6 years building websites. So I created Live Soap School, which was an organization that taught people how to make and sell handmade products. I self-published several books on how to do the same. I've also worked for the Black Caucus of the American Library Association as their webmaster. I've also worked for Bloomsburg University as their webmaster. And the only reason I submitted a proposal is for the last 7 meetings, I heard the same thing at every meeting. What's wrong with the website? So I submitted a proposal because I figured you guys needed help with your website. And looking at my proposal, just so we're clear on what it was that we're offering. So the price that you all heard in terms of the $4,000 to $50,000, I broke it up into 3 monthly payments. I only work on a retainer, I do not work hourly. And that's just the structure of my business. So website maintenance, I said I only work on retainer, I do not work hourly. Yeah, I'm going to give that now. So in the proposal, website maintenance is at $1,500 per month. Website and social media management would come out to $2,750 per month. And if you wanted the whole Digital Connect package, which is strategic community engagement, which is what is missing from the website portion. So it's really the making sure that the community is engaged with newsletters, with podcasting, with social media, with the text message marketing. So all of those components that actually keep the community engaged, along with the social media as well as the website, would come out to $4,250 per month. So, yes, a great number. So the reason why I say that is it depends on what Yeadon wants. Does Yeadon want just their website maintained? If I do it, My company, we charge $1,500 a month to just maintain your website. That's status quo. If you want to also have the outreach with your community, making sure that everyone is informed of what's happening, making sure that your meetings are promoted, making sure that the community knows what's happening, that is where we also do the social media management. And that comes out to $27.50 per month. And then the last one is that digital connect. So if you want all of those things and then making sure everyone's staying connected, that's at the $42.50 per month. Now, if I were in your shoes, based on what I just heard, I would hire that team right there.
Me too.
I would hire that team right there because they have the infrastructure to be able to set up your website. I offered my services because I lived here and I saw the disarray in this community about the website not being updated. But you have a good solution there. But I'm here to entertain any questions you have for me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And it probably should have been a question for all of them. We previously had, My Civic app that created a Yeadon Borough app. Are any of you able to recover and utilize that we poured so much into, but kind of fell by the wayside?
So I will say, depending on if the account is still active, or who has the account, because normally if it's a subscription, so if that subscription has lapsed, it would probably be difficult to recover it. Otherwise, normally you can log back in with an email address, but it's determining what email address is associated with that.
But are you familiar with that type of platform to be able to integrate?
Just from the user side, I have not integrated it before.
What about?
We do app integration as well, and we do app development, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're a computer engineer, correct?
I'm kind of intrigued that you're one of the vendors that is bidding for this contract, right?
Yes.
Why would you endorse this second? I'd like to hear.
I heard their proposal.
Yes.
So you're saying that their proposal is better than your proposal?
Yes.
And why?
Because they actually have the infrastructure to support what it is that you're asking for. I have a team of 3. It sounds like they have engineers, they have the photography capabilities, they also have the experience with municipalities, which I don't.
That's very noble of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
I live here. I want the same thing that most of you want with the website. Go ahead.
So, and I'm just gonna be very frank, our current website is trash. And the community, you know, is a little disappointed with it currently. But it, not only is it blah, but because of the content that's being uploaded on it, that makes it even more blah. So, it takes me back to my original question, when you're being asked, and that's for the other vendors as well, when you're being asked to upload content that lacks integrity, it doesn't matter what the rest of the website looks like, but it's always going to be that lack of integrity content that people will see and say, this website is trash.
Yes, and you also have to understand that we are contractors, right? So we do have to do certain things. Now, to alleviate that, one thing that most organizations do is they have what's known as either an editorial calendar or a content calendar. So typically a month before everything's going out, there's not a lot of last minute things that are happening. We know 30 days ahead of time, this is what's planned. Generally, you would, well, that's typically how you would want it to work. And if that doesn't work, there's an approval process before it goes live on the website. It's not just, oh, here's a good idea, post it. That's it. There's a little bit more to it.
People here are taking notes.
I know, right?
Y'all ain't gonna bring me in that.
Interesting.
Go ahead. Yeah?
Interesting.
My question is both, how did you guys find out that you needed a webmaster? It was not advertised.
Every meeting of council, I don't come to the council meetings because it's too loud. But I do watch them on the replay, and there was not a single meeting where you didn't say, we need a new website. Our website is horrible. Why isn't things being updated? Now, I didn't realize until I met with Mr. Dotson that the reason for the meeting minutes not being updated when you all want them is they have to be approved before they can go on the site. And so if it's not approved, it's kind of a, so to answer your question, the way I heard of it is I live here, and I heard the cry of, we need a website, and I build websites for my own business.
So you actually just came out and said, I'm here because I heard you needed a webmaster. Can I apply? Is that what you're saying to me?
That's what I'm saying to you.
How did you guys find out?
Well, someone notified us that, they needed a webmaster.
Someone here in Yeadon notified you guys?
Actually.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, can I answer? So when I heard, I did reach out to Sharon Council Harris, and she said, send a proposal over. But nobody tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, we need a webmaster. Okay. Is that all?
Is that any other questions for Ms. Ringo? Okay, thank you. We do have a quorum now. We do want to call the meeting to order. Are there any other questions at all for the webmaster's presentation? Okay, hearing none. If you will, it is now 8:15. If you will, I'd like to call this workshop to order. We have a quorum. If you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
I'm under the weather. I came to hear the web proposal.
Oh, no.
So I didn't come to say, I didn't know that my attendance would make a quorum, so I'm not.
Well, can you stay for like 15 minutes to get these reports in?
My husband's outside.
Tell him to come in.
So, no.
Tell him to come in. Mr. Boggs,
Open, but we don't need a quorum.
do we need a quorum to remain?
We're not voting, so we don't need
No
a quorum.
voting, so we're
Let's
good.
move on.
If Counselor leaves,
Thank you, Ms. Monroe.
pardon me?
No, we don't need a
We
quorum.
don't,
Oh, to call the meeting,
Yeah, so we had.
but not to sustain through the meeting.
No.
Mr. Boggs, I hope you're right on that one.
We can talk about all the reports, but we're gonna have to do it again in the legislature.
Yeah, we're not voting tonight.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the residents? What's your pleasure? We're going to excuse the webmasters. We're going to excuse the webmasters. Thank you so much for your time. We know you're busy. Thank you. Can we give them an applause, please?
God bless you. That was really, really noble of you, what you said up there, but you're a resident first.
Zakia.
So.
Thank you so much.
Resident first.
Okay. I hope that was informative for everyone here, including the counselors. I'm going to ask, it's following our regular format. Let me have your agenda. Is that it? Okay. I'm going to do a roll call. Okay, I'm going to tie my report into, I was hoping that Mr. Nichols could have joined us tonight with the Finance Committee, but I'm going to ask Mr. Vercuso if he would come and give his report, our borough engineer. He had some important information on grants that we've received. I'd like for him to give an overview of the grants that are received for this month, actually for the first part of the year here. Mr.
Good evening. Just a couple of minor things. I think at the council meeting, legislative meeting last week, council approved the award to AF Damon for the road work in the amount of $93,332.50. And the next step of that, before we can begin the work, is get the contracts to AF Damon, and then all of that has to be approved by PennDOT because we are using liquid fuels monies. So we'll get through that process. And I'm hoping that we can get the work done in early June. That's our goal. This month, we are taking bids on the work on Cypress Avenue, the sanitary sewer improvements. It's out to bid now. Bids are due April 11th. We'll review those bids prior to the council meeting, the legislative meeting later in the month. And if those bids are in accordance with the budget, then that can be awarded at the April meeting. As the council president said, we had been waiting almost a year for that LSA grant to be announced. Kept hearing it was going to be announced in the spring, and it was announced, and the borough was awarded a $500,000 grant to put towards the community center. And then in the middle of last year, we submitted a multimodal grant to PennDOT to do some improvements to the business district on Church Lane. And that grant was also awarded in the amount of $350,000. So we're waiting for the paperwork to come, the official paperwork to come for both of those grants, and then we can move forward, with especially with the business district project. So unless there's any questions, that's the end of my report.
So the LSA grant.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me 1 second. Just 1 second. Could you summarize the 6 projects that are active for this year?
I have them over there. The projects that we hope to get done this year are the, obviously thanks. Obviously the road program that I just talked about. Cypress Avenue is the second project that we want to get done. Duff Avenue is another project that we want to get completed this year. We've got grants, ongoing grants for the recreation, for the park. So there's a number of improvements that will be made to the park. Let me just get my list here. And then obviously the priority one is for us to move forward. The borough was previously awarded a grant to do a number of handicap improvements along a number of streets in the borough. So we're working on that one. And then the one-way for Church, to get Church in a one-way between McDade and West Cobb's. And then the improvements on West Cobb. So they're the projects that we prioritize for this year. I'm sorry.
So the LSA grant, that's not a matching grant, correct?
Correct.
Do the money have to be utilized within a certain time period?
Usually it's in a 3 to 5 year time period, but we don't have the paperwork yet to be able to, get the back end of that as to what their requirements are going to be.
Okay. All right. At the last meeting, we had a couple of residents voice their concerns with respect to their properties falling, crumbling. Were you able to take a look at these properties to make a determination what is actually causing these issues?
So the short answer is no, and the reason is that it was my recommendation to the borough that typically in these kind of, we have 50, 60 structural engineers, so we can look at them, these kind of issues. But my recommendation was that the borough should not enter into the homes to prepare, a report should be prepared by the homeowners, by their engineer, that we would review, but the borough should not be in a position to go into the homes and prepare a report because it should be done by the homeowners.
Right.
And then we would review them.
So has that information been relayed to the homeowners?
I'm not sure if
No, because we just got the information today, ma'am.
Yeah,
No, because we just received the information from the engineer today, and I haven't been able to, I wanted him to come and explain that to you as councilors and the residents, because you brought that was brought up, so I will relay that tomorrow.
Okay, because one of the homeowners reached out to me and advised that, she said you came and took a look and said nothing was wrong.
No, ma'am, I did come with our superintendent, and I said I am not an engineer, and I responded back to her that I am not an engineer, but a cursory look at it, I couldn't see this, but I did respond that our neighbor's house did have, to me, looked like it had, and to our superintendent, had structural problems. But I said to her, I'm attempting to reach out to our engineer to get a response back, and today we got that response.
Okay, so one of the homeowners, they did obtain a structural engineer report. One
Okay.
of them did, that I know of. So the second homeowner, I do not believe she mentioned she had a structural engineer report. So you will be reaching out to the homeowner that does not have a report.
I will reach out to both, and if you'll give me the information for the one that does have the structural engineer's report, I will forward that to our,
She emailed it to you.
the structural engineer's report.
Yeah,
And if she did, without hesitation, I'll look for it.
yeah, she did.
I'll take it.
One of them did attach the report.
I'll take it.
And then once we have that report, we'll get right into taking a look at it.
Yeah, can we stay on top of it and be consistent?
We will.
Because we're talking about people's homes there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, literally about to fall.
And Mr. Dotson, said, I know that him and Mike were there Friday. He called me late Friday. I was out of the office. We spoke first thing this morning.
Well, that was,
So,
I don't know which one it was, but another lady who did not have a report indicated that, she said, what she said, that Mr. Dotson told her it wasn't an issue. So if they don't have a report, this information needs to get to them and let them know to obtain a report and have you review the report.
right.
Just a point of clarification, Madam Councilor. I never did say.
I just said what the email said, that's all.
Okay, that's okay. Let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
Thank you.
I think there's a question back there.
Okay, yes, please.
Where do we stand at on the, I guess, getting bids to do, street improvements?
Those bids were taken, and at the legislative meeting last week, they approved the bid, and we're preparing the contracts now.
How soon possibly would that?
I'm hoping that the contracts, we have to get the contracts from the contractor, they have to be approved by PennDOT, the paperwork has to be approved by PennDOT. I'm hoping that this becomes an early June project. Okay?
Was there a mention of a intersection there at Baird Avenue and Stetson that needs to be improvements there?
Yeah, that's one we're doing with the, not in this contract, I think, Mike, is we're doing that with the annual contract.
The tent road with the low.
Right.
With the low.
Yeah, yeah, they're taking care of that with another, same contractor, but with a different contract. Okay.
All right, thank you. So, Mike, you want to come up and give your report now? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So we have our e-waste program for this month is April 28th, and our yard waste program is April 14th. That will be 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Now, any residents can bring anything to our borough yard, 1115 Bailey Road, and drop off any e-waste or any yard waste. Next month, May 26th, and yard waste will be May 12th. Same thing, bring your yard waste and your e-waste to the borough yard, 8 o'clock to 2:30. Speed signs, in conjunction with the police chief, concerned residents, and the borough manager, we've been moving speed signs Longer Boulevard, Penn Street, throughout the borough. Any concerns from residents speeding, we're collecting data, and as soon as we have this data collected, we will make arrangements to have some issues taken care of on this. Me, the borough manager, and the police chief are still working on some estimates for upgrading the holding cells. 2 estimates have been handed in so far. I'm waiting on one more estimate to come in. I am working on the 2023 shade tree list, which should be done by the end of this month. I'm working on a disposal of numerous tires that have been picked up throughout the borough. People have been dumping tires in our gateway. And our 2023 and 24 HVAC contract is being rebid it at this time. In conjunction with Pannoni and Associates, our MS4 report is complete. Joe had mentioned our road program is on the move. In conjunction with the code department, we are dealing with some abatement problems down at Chester Avenue and Church Lane. We're working diligently to keep that storm sewer project. We're waiting on 2 more projects to be completed, Church Lane and Longer Boulevard, and 1 more on Lansing Avenue. Joe had discussed before, we're waiting on some permits from PennDOT coming from that. COVID spraying is done every week. It has been done since COVID started at the library and the Borough Hall and the Public Works Department. All vehicles are done at least once a week to keep us all safe. And that includes my report. Any other questions?
Mike, I noticed that in the entrance from Philadelphia, Longacre Boulevard, from the Parkway from Longacre Boulevard, the welcome sign that was there used to be 2, I only see 1. What happened?
One was damaged to an accident. I'm working to have the proper company replace that sign, which is the one heading, it's the one heading westbound, exactly, yes, yes. It's in the works to have it replaced, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you discard paint?
How do we discard paint? Paint can be actually discarded at a county, there's a county drop-off,
I'm sorry?
but we can take paint in the trash if it is opened, add kitty litter to it, and let the air get to it and turn it into a solid. If it's not a liquid anymore, it can be disposed of properly.
Oh, kitty litter.
Kitty litter and air will turn it into a solid. Once it's a solid, it's not paint anymore.
And you can put it right in your
I
regular
can put it right in the
trash.
trash, and if the trash company doesn't pick them up, residents can call us and we'll come make a special pickup for it. Absolutely.
Okay, good to know, thank you.
Mike, you can tell the BNL contract will be the same.
Yes, the B&L contract will be extended for the next, the 23, 24, or is it?
2/24.
Two, yes, all the way into 24.
That's our trash system.
Our trash pickup and recycling.
Going to contract.
The paving, right there, the lady that had the fallen tree by the South Longacre, still on Longacre Boulevard. There was she had called requesting, when would you know that paving would be done on that side?
That's a paper street, they consider it, it's on a map, it's never been paved as long as I've been here for 36 years. I spoke with that resident, and we're gonna have those holes filled in with a, we call it millings, it's what they grind up off the street. We've been doing that for a lot of years, and
Is there any prohibition for having it paved?
none whatsoever, nothing, no.
So the council could decide to.
They could if they wanted to, but if we repair that the way we've been repairing it for years, it should be just fine. There's only 1 or 2 residents that use that street versus Longer Boulevard or West Cobb Street Parkway, which the whole town uses, so
Yeah.
prioritize, that's where the paving should go.
I guess the engineer probably should weigh in on that.
We can have a discussion with that, that's sure, absolutely.
If they would like to have it paved, it gets really muddy and snowy and all the rest when there's no foundation. You know, asphalt in the holes.
Sure, we'll note it, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give return, give an answer. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question, and it may be for the borough manager and council. Traditionally in Yeadon, the twice a week trash pickup started on Memorial Day through Labor Day. It did. And several years ago, it got curtailed to the 4th of July to Labor Day. Is there any thought of bringing that back? Because 4th of July, twice a week pickup, it just seems very short.
That's gonna be a council
But
issue.
it just,
Absolutely.
it's too short to me, you know. I think the Memorial Day, the way that started was that it was the traditional start of the summer season. And in the contract, some borough managers, recent, whatever, made a mistake and had the contract curtailed to the 4th of July. You know, I just would like to see it back to Memorial Day. Anyway, food for thought, I'm not saying.
You need to compost more, and we don't need that all summer. If you compost, it's the watermelon rinds that are the problem. You don't have watermelon rinds in your trash, you can go once a week. Just get composters for everybody, and then we'll use the money we save from twice a week trash, get everybody a composter.
I want them to pick that stinking trash.
Mr. Dawson says your trash won't stink if you compost. Trash won't stink if you compost.
Watermelon starts Memorial Day.
No. In Philly, they have a containers to residents that want it, and they put their compost in the containers, and that's right, that's the garbage, and then the guy come and picks it up, right?
Yeah, but they used to feed that to the pigs back in the day.
But they're doing that now in Philly.
Ordinance and zoning. Mr. Stokes.
So is that going to change the fact that we want?
No.
So you're not in town?
No, I don't know where it changed and why it changed.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize for not being at the front. I have a bad hip. The zoning code enforcement report for March. There was no zoning use applications or hearings in March. We have the hot spots in the borough, which is Park Report Apartments. They're still having issues with the trash dumpsters and the tenants not putting trash in it. Revere Crossing Apartments, we're still having issues on Monday morning from the trash over the weekend not being placed in the dumpsters as required. And as Mike Pizzullo said, we have an issue with the old Frankie Branch's property at 1027 Church Lane that we are actually abating due to lack of cleanup from the owner. Action items, 517 Church Lane, the African Lift business. We had a court case last month. It was continued until May by Judge Williams, so the owner can come up to the Borough Council and request to see if he can keep the sign that is not in compliance with the borough ordinance. Medina Boulevard Shopping Center, we just still have the trash issues with the International Farmers Market. He is being cited and written up in reference to that. 445 Bonsall Avenue and 708 Yeadon Avenue, we have two unsafe garages, which letters went out by me in reference to them demolishing or repairing them, and citations were issued for those also. One fire-related issue, everyone knows that the Channel 6 Save a Life and Philadelphia Fire Department issues smoke detectors to the surrounding municipalities and boroughs. The borough is signed up to get our allotment on April 24th for 2023. The closed items, in reference to 1023 Church Lane, where was a fire at that property. They had illegal dumpers dumping on the property. The police was involved with catching one of them several months ago, and Public Works actually cleaned up the property and it was abated. Upcoming items, I will be attending the class on April 13th and 14th for the building code official certification that I have to have for the borough. Kerrfield, the contractor, has started the work, first phase of work in reference to the new stadium that is being put up at Kerrfield property. The school district is renovating a couple of schools. Evans Elementary School is one that's being renovated in the borough. They will be starting that progress in the near future. And work is still continuing at the Wellness Center on 125 Chester Avenue. This should be, I think, the fourth stage of the Wellness Center being put in. Important issues. The borough needs to appoint several zoning board members in the near future due to one of the zoning officers resigning, and another one is relocating to another state. We also, the borough needs to appoint members to the planning commission. Our property maintenance abatement payments to the borough was one, which was $495 for the month of March. January, February, we usually don't get anything in reference to the abatements. The code revenue for the March month is $20,714.50. We also, citations were issued for the month of March. 517 Church Lane, again, in reference to the sign. 1312 Manor Road for installing a fence and what appears to be a shed. They did not have permits, and they were cited in reference to that situation. And again, 445 Bonsall Avenue and the 708 Yeadon Avenue for the unsafe garages. They were cited, and notices were sent out to the owners in reference to repairing the sheds. And that is my code enforcement report. Any questions in reference to it?
I have one response. The zoning board is on the website and the planning committee is on the website. We do have 3 openings currently for the zoning. I think 1 person applied. And in terms of the planning committee, we have 1 person. Thank you, Sharon. In terms of the planning commission, we have 1 person who has applied, and we need 4 more.
Okay, I see several hands.
There's some little yellow signs somebody put up on the bus stops, like offering to buy diabetic supplies, on Church Lane at Longacre. There might be it might be all the way down Church Lane for all I know.
Okay, we'll have them take it down.
I don't know, I couldn't hear you, so I don't know if you said what I'm going to ask, but it was brought to my attention that some of the businesses on Church Lane are not complying with the ordinance to keep their dumpsters clear. And they are unsightly and they present a health hazard. So I wonder if there's something that's being done about that, or?
Yeah, what happens is normally we get a phone call, we see it, we get in coordinate. We kind of coordinate with Public Works if they have to pick up excessive trash, and then we'll abate the property business owner.
Okay. So it has been brought to your attention.
Yes, we have noticed that there is a few, and from even Public Works has gotten in touch with us, there's a few businesses that do not comply with their dumpster ordinances.
Thank you.
And piggybacking off of Dr. Ford's question, is there a repeated offender type of situation? What escalates to that point?
We do have some repeater offenders, and what we do is we abate them. So if there is an issue, we get in touch with Public Works, they clean it up, and we put a lien on the property. Because we do have some that just are not in compliance with the borough ordinance.
Okay. My question is, the house on Bronzeville, is that the one that we spoke about?
Yes, that is the property that we spoke about at the code committee meeting. Yes.
Now, the other thing is, the steak shop, where the backyard sits right there, I mean, did y'all?
Yes, they were advised to clean up the back. They were advised to clean that yard up, the area behind it. Okay, they were notified to clean it up, but we had to go by and see if they did take care of it.
Okay, so, what was did you give them 3 days, 4 days, 7
We
days?
usually give them 3 days. Actually, I dealt with it, so I gave them 5 days. And I had to check on it to make sure it was taken care of.
Because it's getting hot.
Yeah.
Rodents and stuff.
That is correct.
Thank you.
I know.
Director Stokes, so you gave someone 5 days to clean up some trash?
Yes.
Oh, now, I mean, in my opinion, I think 5 days is a little much to clean up trash. Okay, especially if it's a business. There's no excuse for that. It should be cleaned up immediately. And if I'm not mistaken, we did have these conversations before with respect to repeat offenders. When you have a repeat offender, we do have something in place where we could take them to court.
That's, we do cite them and then we go to the court in front of the court reference to it. Yes, that is the process. We still are doing that process.
But you can't keep giving them the minimum amount of penalty.
Yes. Well, actually, I remember we talked to the solicitor in reference to the up the price of the fine.
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe some of these fines go all the way up to $1,000.
Yes, it's $100 to $1,000
Right.
each
So when
violation and citation, yes.
Right, so when you have repeat offenders, you're not gonna keep assessing the minimum penalty. You want to now give them the maximum because now they're repeating their bad behaviors. And like I already mentioned, 5 days to pick up trash, in my opinion, that's ridiculous. I mean, especially for business. Go out there with a broom and shovel and clean it up. Not 5 days. It should be at most 24 hours.
Okay.
And I think we're just being too lenient when it comes to these people violating these codes and ordinances. It's not right. It's just not right. We're being too lenient for no reason. In addition, the apartment building on Church Lane. I rode past there the other day, and it's trash all around the dumpsters. Not in the dumpsters, but around the dumpsters.
Right.
And they're consistently leaving trash outside of the dumpsters. It looks a mess. They are repeatedly violating these codes and ordinances.
In reference to Washington Woods, and I don't know if the chief of police was notified, we have someone that we cannot catch that is dumping there. We kind of have an idea who it is, and we're trying to catch this person. And it's not a resident of Washington Woods. It's a gentleman who has a vehicle, a truck that actually does clean outs. And he actually is the one who's actually dumping there. We cannot catch him in the action.
Well, you know what? That's great. I'm great you can help this apartment building, but what are they doing? It's on private property. It's their property.
Yes.
So what are they doing?
They are notified when we see that they have to go out there and clean it up. And they do give us pushback because they say it's not theirs. But we do tell them that it's still on their property and they have to take care of it.
Have you advised them to set up a camera?
Yeah, actually, I was actually going to talk to, I was ready to talk to the chief of records.
But that's not our problem. That's private property.
No, I understand that.
Well, they'll soon find out that the fines are less expensive, that it would be cheaper to buy a camera.
Right.
If you just find them,
But if you
then
just,
buy a camera.
if you're just assessing a penalty of $100 or $25.
Then it's cheaper to pay that than to get a
Yeah.
camera.
So not only is that a problem, but the fencing that separates their property from the Francis property, that fence has been dilapidated for years.
No, we were just talking about the fence, what you were just saying.
Yeah, but I brought that up before. Also, the abandoned car that's sitting in that's serving as an obstruction in a common driveway. We talked about that as well.
That should have been removed. Yeah.
Okay, it should have been,
That should have been removed last week when I turned it over to the code officer.
okay.
I know Cypress does our towing, so I don't know if they did not get to it as of yet, but they do the towing for the borough.
And I did follow up with you with respect to this hole in the roof with some sort of foliage growing on the side of the house. And you advised that they put something on the roof to cover the hole. Yeah, it looks like a piece of plywood.
Yeah, but the thing is, I had pictures of it, the tar paper that was on it, and after the storm, it did get blown away because they didn't tack it down correctly. So that should have been taken care of again.
So,
And that was on Cypress Street.
right, so, I mean, I have a lot of other things here too, but I'm not gonna go through them all. But I kind of feel like if the residents don't call and report these things, these conditions just, they're left. They're not addressed. We have code people who are supposed to have boots on the ground, And if I see it just walking by with my little dog, why can't the code officer see me say the same things? You know, I don't like to come to these meetings month after month and say the same thing over and over again. This borough is in a worse condition it has ever been in. It's a mess. It's a mess. I see abandoned cars on the street, and that's for you, police chief. Abandoned cars on the street, abandoned vehicles sitting in private driveways, dilapidated homes. I got somebody across the street from me, the porch, they don't have any windows. They tore the screens out because some of them were ripped and blowing in the wind. Like, come on, I'm tired of seeing this nonsense.
I understand.
Enough is enough.
And as I told you at the meeting the other day, I am going to be out there myself doing it. And
My recommendation, get on your department.
oh, I am going to get on the
Get on your
department, and I have got on, but as I will be out there also as the co-director, I'm still also an inspector.
I just want to ask one question, I would like to ask a question. I want to be clear about a couple of things. It's their responsibility to have those dumpsters empty, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I recall during my tenure that we had a similar problem, but we solved it by finding these people who did not keep their dumpsters empty. I don't think there should be, I mean, it's a health hazard, I mean, it attracts rodents, and something needs to be done to stop it.
Yes, that's correct.
So if we could put our heads together, I mean, can't you find them?
Yes, we can find them, and the thing that we take it for. And again, there is something that the solicitor has prevented us in reference to the cost of the fine being higher than it is.
I mean, is it done diligently? Is it done consistently? Does it get enough fines?
Well, it should be, but I can tell you that it's not.
They'll find a way to get that, keep that clean if we put enough fine. That's where we solve the problem.
One more, Director Stokes. The home improvement grant application.
I have either.
Oh.
Are we still?
I'm going to tell my report back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll wait.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Milazzo. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief for the Borough of Yeadon. Just a quick summary of our fire report. In the last 3 months, the fire company has responded to between 80 and 90 calls a month. Average per call is 6 members per call. I've noticed a couple of our high accident areas is still Church McDade. We're still getting many accidents there. People are still coming down Church Lane at a high rate of speed. Chief, I know you've been doing whatever you got to do, but they're still doing it.
Church McDade's a hot spot.
Yes, Church McDade is our hotspot. And also, the Easter Bunny will be coming around on Saturday morning via fire truck, and it'll be coming around 10 o'clock. So we'll be probably hitting every street in town.
On the
with Easter
truck?
Bunny.
On
We're,
like
yeah,
Santa?
we're going to try.
Oh.
All right. Any questions? I'm sorry.
Are you going to also circle the community park?
I think we're going to start. Yes, I think they're going to do everything. The police chief just said something to me that he's going to get involved in it also. He's going to, and I guess they're giving candy out and all.
We have to make sure nobody steals your eggs as much as eggs are. So we'll make sure.
Yes. Any questions for me as far as the fire department? Any questions?
We're glad to see you.
Thank you.
This is class.
I'm really not the fire chief. The fire chief is on his way to Germany at this point in time. You're good.
Must be nice.
Yes. I would say you're
Mayor, I want to go to the Maldives.
Good evening, I'm Henry Gianmarco, the police chief.
Good evening.
Last month for the month of March, the police department responded to 1,028 calls for service. There were approximately 207 parking tickets, and thank goodness we're getting 2 parking people starting within the next couple weeks because Actually, I had 52 of those tickets, so I met a lot of friends last month. So the one guy actually asked me, he's like, why are you writing tickets? I'm like, we have no one, so I guess you got to do it. Abandoned autos. We had 26 reported abandoned autos. 8 were actually towed. What happens is when you put that nice bright orange sticker on, I hit about 20 of them, and you write on the sticker, like, you have bad inspection stickers. We came back a couple days, they actually went and got inspection stickers and made the car illegal. So we had 8 removed, but we hit about, I'd say about 26 total. So we are checking, and that's gonna be one of the trainings for the for the parking people, how to look for abandoned cars. That's a nuisance, and we're gonna get them moved. Just a reminder too, in February, the police department sent out reminders for unpaid parking tickets. There were approximately 99 traffic citations for March, and there was 3 non-traffic citations for harassment and 6 for disorderly conduct. There's a total of 430 unpaid tickets that were sent in to collection. The microphone, I thought it just died. Okay, and there were 4 criminal arrests in the month of March. Okay, I'm gonna highlight one of the incidents. On March 10th, I'm sure people heard about it because I was told that on Nextdoor app. I'm sorry. I'm not on it. But I was driving home after. I'm sorry. You know where my head is, or where it's going. On March 10th, there was a serious incident. I was in the office around 4 p.m., and I heard on the radio there was shots fired in the area. So I immediately ran out of the office, and our officers did a great job. There was 2 locations where, unfortunately, 2 people from Philadelphia decided to come into our lovely borough, and they were having a shooting match out of their vehicles. There was one scene at 500 Commerce, and a second scene was in front of 555 Bailey. And I sent an email to the mayor to let him know what Pat Shirley did. As I'm running out, and I'm gonna call it running, but it probably looked more like a slow trot. As I got to my vehicle, she had the wherewithal to contact the school crossing guards. Now the schools were already out, but the crossing guards are still in the corner. She had the wherewithal to tell them to get off the corner. But the cops did a great job. We arrested 1 person that day, and yesterday they actually went and arrested the 2nd person. So 2 people were arrested for this incident, which again came out of Philadelphia. Just a great job. I mean, the cops were on it, and it was an excellent job. March 27th, along with the Attorney General's Task Force, Homeland Security, and the Yeadon Police Department, we partnered and we conducted a operation. This is still an ongoing investigation, but I just want to highlight what was seized in this house. And like I said, this is still an ongoing investigation. There was a 80% gun. You probably hear them, the politicians call them ghost guns. It's an 80% gun. Essentially, it's 2 pieces that you can go into a gun, not even a gun shop, they won't sell them. You get them online, or to go to a firearms event, and you basically get a drill press. They're not serialized firearms. That was seized out of the house with a Glock switch. What a Glock switch does is the Glock switch goes on back of the firearm, and it makes the gun fully automatic. You'll hear people refer to fully automatics. We do not carry fully automatics. You see an AR-15, and that is not a fully automatic. What a fully automatic gun does is when you depress the trigger, it shoots it just keeps recycling until you run out of ammunition. In this house, we also seized an AR-15.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We also seized an AR-15 that was a ghost AR-15. That AR-15 also had an automatic switch in it. That was actually lying against the window in this house. After they made entry, I went in and looked, and it was in such a position that if somebody was coming into the house, if somebody was in there, they could have shot out. They also seized 36 Glock switches. I'm not xenophobic, but these all were shipped from China. So, and you can get them on a dark web. They turn guns into full auto. So, like I said, this is an ongoing investigation, but it shows breaking down the silos. We didn't know this, but 6 months ago, this same task force was in our town doing operations without us knowing. Now they're calling us working together with us, and we got police involved. We were on the scene. So this is building a partnership with U.S. Customs, Homeland Security, the AG's office. Also, just a couple announcements. This Thursday and Friday, we're going to be having Phoenix training in the office, or actually in this venue here, we're hosting it. Phoenix training is for law enforcement, first responders, and concerned citizens, and that breaks down the stigma of dealing with people that are addicted to drugs or other, suicide thoughts, and it's actually good training. It's free training. They're coming to us, and the catch is they're going to give us free pizza, so hopefully we'll get more people to come. The other thing is April 12th at the Friendship Circle Senior Center, I'll be in attendance with Dave Shellcross from the Attorney General's office. This is great. Dave is known throughout the Commonwealth for senior scams. He's going to be talking to the seniors how to avoid scams, and I'm sure he'll have some free giveaways. Anticipated, the Crime Watch app, we're in, and I guess we would call it Charlie testing, because we're done beta testing now. We want to get all the officers trained on it. That should be done within the next 2 weeks, and we're hoping to launch the app on the 17th. I also applied, and I'm waiting for Congresswoman Scanlon, or Gay Scanlon's office to get back to us. We need new tasers. We're down to 2 tasers right now. So we applied for new tasers, grant, and also 2 new cars too. So we're trying to see if that'll offset the cost. It's already in our budget to get it, but I applied for the grant, so maybe that can offset and we can have some more money. I'm hoping we get that. I'm also working on a grant for the possible accreditation. That's a very expensive process because we're going to have to redo our whole policies, because I didn't realize this until I started looking at the policy. They don't do evaluations, and that's one of the things that I could not understand, how we don't do evaluations of our employees, but that's something that's going to have to be changed, because part of the accreditation process, you have to have evaluations. And lastly, not to bring this to a, I was informed that, and I'm not going to give the officer's name, but there's an officer that has tenure here that is actually going through the process. He's being, right now they're doing his background for another department, so there's a possibility we may have another officer leaving. I'm going to talk to him to see why, to see if there's something we can do. He's a good officer. It's just, I just found out about it today, and it's personal, so I'm not going to obviously disclose who it is, but that's it. That's all I have right now, so.
Chief? Go ahead.
I don't have a question about what you just spoke about. I have a question about why are they putting these temporary speed, they look like strips in the street. People just literally get out their car and kick up to the side and keep going. They just put one out on my block this morning.
Today, because a resident that has 70 years, I know like who's important, because they usually start, I lived here for 70 years.
Oh, I already know who the resident is.
70 years, that was the highest. I'm like, 70, you beat everyone.
I
but
know who the resident is.
That was just done as a temporary stopgap. That was done as a temporary stopgap.
So, yeah, because it's right in front of her house, so.
Okay, if you want to, we'll move them.
Yeah, it's like, all
I know.
people do is just kick it out the way and keep driving. So.
No, I totally understand.
So she called to complain about the speeding.
Yeah, but I noticed, like, it depends on, like, the residents, like, you get, like, I thought she said 17, I was like, wait a minute, because I had somebody with 36 the other day call, so.
Yeah, so, okay.
Well, I'm good. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm old.
Serious, 2 questions, or 1 question. I'm just getting out of here. I went.
So the guy or the girl with the ghost gun situation, that's in Yeadon?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll talk, yeah.
That's crazy.
No, I mean, it's not, and I'm not being xenophobic or whatever, but like all the fentanyl, I mean, we have pictures, like legitimately, I'll show pictures where the one guy's from Pittsburgh, and we're working a fentanyl task force, you can see him, he's knocked out, he's bluer than the mayor's shirt. And it says, like, there's Chinese writing on a box that he got from fentanyl, and he started snorting thinking it was heroin, but it was fentanyl, and his mom found him.
Yeah.
I mean, the fentanyl's coming in, like, you go in the dark web, fentanyl, and look, I'm not trying to infringe any Second Amendment right, but these, and they call them ghost guns, but these 80% have to stop. They're not serialized. There's no way you can trace them. If you have a drill press, you can just press them out, and it's something that has to, hopefully, I know the governor's working on it, and it's scary.
So I'm kind of thinking like, you know, it just takes me back. If you see something, say something. And I mean, you don't have to give your name, but usually when people are involved in these types of activities, they kind of move a little different. You follow me?
You know, frankly, I don't want to say, I was upset, I'll be honest. When I went in the house and I see a little girl walking around, and upstairs you have an AR-15 at the window, and you have a Glock, this is a Glock 17, you have a Glock with a 30-round magazine that has there's no external safety on the Glock.
Right.
Lying on the bed, and this little girl's walking around. Like, I was pissed off. I mean, because they pick up a gun, they don't know. And
Right.
Yeah, you don't do that, but.
What was the training, the Venus training, what day and time?
That is actually Thursday, and the holiday's Friday, but it's Thursday at 12, or 10:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good time to follow up with the mayor's report and back to the police chief. Just 2 or 3 things. I won't take a lot of time. I did notify the residents at the legislative meeting last week that the flag is being flown at half-staff in honor of the chief's son-in-law. So we'll take that down or return to normal by the end of this week. And thank you, Chief, for your service. And I know it's a difficult time for you, but thoughts and prayers are still with you. A concern. Did report that a lot of people, the morale in the police department has been low due to a lot of events. I won't go into it, but a lot of associated events has caused a low morale, and we have 2 retirements that happened in January, a sergeant and a detective. We had another officer that transferred, and now we just got word that another officer, very good officer, wants to transfer. So we have to try to turn that around. Having a chief helps, but this is a cumulative effect of what we're facing. And I don't know how, I just thank God that they've been able to do their jobs. I don't know how we're doing it. But we're very short-staffed, and I was happy to hear at the last legislative meeting that the Civil Service Commission has been authorized to start advertising and getting a list together so that we could start hiring full-time officers soon. Thank you. Michael Trent is here. He's always here at the meetings, but we support the effort of the Civil Service Commission, and the sooner the better. But the more we get, and that's the number one thing. You're short-staffed also, and that has a very negative impact where you're working like double shifts and hardly get a day off, and that also saps morale and efficiency. But I don't know how we're doing it. But let's hope that we could ramping up to full staffing soon. All right, that's all I have to report.
Next, the manager's report now. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Good evening. This is the manager's report for April 3rd, 2023. On 3/2/23, a meeting was held at Kerrfield concerning use of Bailey Road near Grace Cemetery as a turnaround for buses leaving the new stadium. On 3/9/23 and 3/15, the borough manager conducted routine drives through Yeadon for property maintenance issues. If you see an RV on McDade Boulevard at the old mall, that RV will be moved within the next week or less than 2 weeks from now. It's illegal to be there. The owner has heart problems. He thought he can just make that part of his business. I spoke to the owner, and that RV will be moved. If you are on Church Lane and you see the truck for Pound Cake Heaven continuously parked there, they have a year-round permit, and they are allowed to park there. We will utilize part of our parking lot behind the movie theater for large trucks for residents who don't have any place to park them, like the She Crab, but they're fully responsible for that truck, and the borough will not absorb any liability on that parking lot. Also, on 3/10/23, the borough manager and myself had the weekly code department meeting. On 3/21, a meeting was held with Brian McDonald at Waytech, the IT provider for the borough. He gave us a list of projects and recommendations to have completed, and this will update the borough's computers and cybersecurity. Due to recent increase in spam mail and hacking, my email was hacked on Friday, and so was the superintendent of our Public Works Department. For the month of March, the Recreation Center survey was completed and sent to council for their feedback. Also, the code department and myself, this is not part of my report, but I added it. We will be discussing permit fee increases. The increases we hadn't had a permit increase since 2009. And let me see, I want to, Councilor Roadcloud was kind enough to bring up the subject of the Community Improvement Program. And I sent that to all of the councilors almost 3 weeks ago. But what I'd like to do is take this opportunity just to read the front page of it. The Yeadon Borough Council has approved the use of the American Rescue Plan Act, it's called ARPA, funds to support local community improvement program. The program will allow the borough to provide grants of up to $1,500 for property owners in Yeadon to complete exterior cosmetic or driveway improvements to their properties. The program aims to fuel community and economic development within the borough by helping residents beautify their properties in an effort to reduce blight and address minor exterior maintenance issues. All dwellings approved for funding must be owner-occupied and will be subject to exterior inspection and permitting where applicable. Applications will be accepted. We're going to change the date because the month of March is already passed. But one thing you can rest assured of, no council person or myself will be in charge of approving any application. We will be seeking the assistance of a third party under the ARPA fund to approve the applications. Now, I'll give you the eligibility applicants must have. They must own their own homes and have resided in the borough of Yeadon for at least 3 years, be in good financial standing with the borough, school district, and county tax offices, not have any open citations or violations with the building code official's office, not be in jeopardy of foreclosure or under a contract of sale, provide proof of ownership and residency via deed, utility bill, etc., provide proof of home ownership's insurance, and must use a licensed contractor through the Attorney General's Home Improvement Program. Applications will be reviewed after submission closing date, with awards to be announced. Again, we said May, but that's open to council. The borough anticipates funding disbursements to commence on or before, again, the date changed, but it was May. Approved property owners will receive funds in 2 disbursements, 50% of the total completion and expansion. No. 50% of the total approved amount will be rendered in May. Again, that date will change, with the remaining 50% to be issued upon our work completion and inspection. All work is expected to be completed within 90 days of the first disbursement. Work completed after 90 days will not be covered by the program, and a lien may be attached to your home. So that is the outline of the Community Improvement Program. It is open, as our Councilor Monroe stated, to other qualifications, other changes. I meant to say Councilor Roadcloud. The way we arrived at the cosmetics, the facade, and the driveways is we had $200,000 of ARPA money. 100,000 went to the facades. The other $100,000 went to the driveways.
So, I don't know who made that decision, when we voted on the monies to be, utilized for, the common driveways. That's number one. Number two, the issue was there's no income criteria. The 3-year residency requirement, it seems to be a little, ridiculous, because if you only been in the borough for 3 years, I'm sure the code department already, when you was going through the buying process, they already went to the home to make sure everything was according to the codes and ordinances. So I think the residency needs to be longer than 3 years. I mean, that was an issue. Who was going to assist in awarding the funds? I would like to know that.
Right, yeah, how's that being
And how's
selected?
that being taken care of? I believe that council members and their, they should be excluded from being able to apply for those funds. So there's a few things that really need to be discussed. And that was the issue from the last meeting, and here we are at this meeting, and I didn't get an email saying we were going to have a sit down and discuss with everyone at the table.
You're absolutely right. No decision has been made, and this improvement program has not been enacted. We sent the council over 3 weeks ago with the hope that I would receive feedback about this application. I received not one response.
What they
This
have
is
to
my-
do with the
Ma'am,
price of
this-
rice right now, I don't understand.
What I'm saying to you is, you have, as a council, every right to say what you're saying, but the opportunity was and is still available to contact me.
No, it's not about contacting you, it's about everyone coming to
Sitting
the table.
and coming together.
Everyone come to the table, not one or two
Even a
people.
suggestion that everyone come to the table would have been accepted. It's not, anything is in concrete. We put it, the issue was this: for years and years, there were complaints about the driveway.
I'm talking about coming up with an ironclad application that is fair and just and equitable across the board. I'm not talking about what happened back in my ancestors' years. I just want to move forward and get this application properly created so that it's fair and just. That's it.
So when can we do that? Can we do that before the next legislative
I think
meeting
that-
at our executive,
Yes,
maybe?
ma'am. It is appropriate.
And then maybe vote on it
I think it's appropriate.
when,
We
like
can
when?
get some answers. We can
Or
redraw.
why don't we come with our suggestions
Yes.
ahead of time, and
Yes.
then by the
Yes.
April legislative, we should be voting on this,
Thank you
like you
very
said. So if you want to send a survey out to the counselors to ask what kind of, or just email. Yeah,
can do that.
yeah.
Okay.
So my next question was with
Yes,
respect to the parking lot. You said you was going to use the parking lot behind the movie theater for the
Yes.
big trucks and all. What about the aesthetics for the residents that live in that area? Maybe they don't want to see a bunch of trucks
Yes.
across the street from them or
Yes.
next door to them. So who's making these unilateral decisions?
I, as the borough manager, have control of all the properties. Let me answer the question. Please let me answer the question. It's not all of these trucks. It's one truck that's been over there for months. It's a white truck. So the lady who owns the She Crab, her truck is now parked in a no parking place. That's how she makes a living, and there's no place else to put it. Since no one is using that lot, I said to her that it would be okay for you to temporarily put your truck there. Also, I made the same suggestion to Pamela at the Pound Cake Heaven, but she has a permit. And that's how we came up with it.
Mr. Dodson,
Yes,
with
ma'am.
all due respect, you do not have control over the borough properties.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. You don't get to say who does what with these properties.
I think the chief has.
You don't. I mean, that, like I said, so what are we going to do? The next person in the borough who says, oh, I don't have anywhere to park my truck, you going to say, oh, park it on borough property?
No, as a matter of fact, we have a person who continue to park their truck over on the 1300 block of South Long Acre Boulevard. And we have cited that property, that truck owner numerous times. They went away and came back. So I never offered them that opportunity. So it's not just.
I don't
anyone.
think it's a good idea from a legal standpoint to offer parking for trucks.
Okay.
Go write the law, counselor.
It's already in there.
It's an ordinance already.
It's already in there. The ordinance is already there.
And speaking of ordinances, when there's any parking lot that has more than 10 spaces, it's supposed to be landscaped to screen for the homeowners who cross the street. And if the borough is using the empty lot behind the movie theater for parking, they need to landscape it appropriately so that it is.
So it's not an eyesore.
So it's not an eyesore. It needs to have landscaping.
And you're talking about a
It's supposed to be a 3 foot, any parking lot with more than 10 parking spaces needs to have 3 foot of, landscaping for screening.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. She's just parking.
I don't want to have fuel to the fire, but will she make any kind of payments? Because she's like, I'm not going to tell you how much she owes in tickets, but.
She cried?
Oh, yeah.
She owns a lot of tickets.
But you let her park for free.
But I didn't have
No,
that
we
information.
don't come up because, I mean.
Well, she's illegally parked.
So, I didn't have that information.
We're aiding and abetting.
And, but since she does, we can address it.
We'll talk offline.
Yes.
But that's what happens when you make unilateral decisions.
Darling?
Yeah.
Residents of the grant program.
Excuse me, Darlene, you had a question?
Yeah, so I wanted to know about the grant
Uh-huh.
program. So who would be the person that would choose the people that would get the grant? And then how would it be done? Like, would you contact, would you send it in? Like, in what order would it be? And how would you know if you get the grant or not? And when this grant will go out so that everybody knows that it's out there and it's not just a few people?
I think that's a great question. I think that, as I said, Mr. Nichols and I are working in trying to contact a third party under ARPA to review the application. It will not involve any of us, councilors, myself, council president, the mayor. We have nothing to do with it, but that's an aspect of it that we're working on. But you said something else. You said about when will it be made available. I think that, as Councilor Beaton said, we'll spend up to our next meeting discussing, refining, and do our due diligence to make it the kind of program that the residents of Yeadon would appreciate. Yes, sir, Mr.
Some information about how that program is.
How do you notify the residents of the opportunity to apply?
As soon as we've ironed out the details, we will put it online, and we will. And would you say something, sorry?
Are you only going to post it on the website?
No, I was going to finish. No, sir. What I was going to say is, we will put it on the website, and we will announce it at our council meeting.
And how will you reach the other 10,000 residents?
I think that we're not. It's only $1,500. We're looking at about 100. Excuse me. Let me finish my comment. No, here's what I'll do. I'll accept your questions, but I have, sir. I'll answer your questions. But we have about 100, the way we came with the number is it'll service about 150 residents. If you, everyone whose driveway, facade, they think that they qualify, will be able to fill out an application, absolutely.
Will they get a letter in the mail, or they have to go hunting on the website?
Get a letter in the mail pertaining to the program? I just stated for you how it will be done, but if you as a resident believe that that's an alternative to the website and announcing it at council meetings, we can send out a mailer.
Well, we've already heard that engagement on the website is very low. You reported it yourself earlier.
Yes, sir, I did.
So how are you going to make sure that everybody who has an opportunity in town to apply for this grant, rather than just those on the inside who might know somebody?
That's a great question. Once again, as you suggested, if the website doesn't get it and they don't hear it at the council meetings, then if you say, Mr. Green, that we should mail it, and council agrees that we should mail it, we'll mail it.
We should mail it.
Mailed, if council agrees. Sure, it's a cost.
One of the questions,
Ma-
one of the questions is the remainder of the park money, what is it being applied for, how is it allocated?
It went, Mr. Nichols isn't here, but to my understanding, the rest of the money went towards the budget.
The budget.
They put half of the investment towards the budget.
They put some towards the budget, and then some money goes to the first responders, there's some
They
money.
want to put all of it in the budget and then postpone the tax raise for a year so they can claim no tax raises. They were gonna use all of the ARPA for the budget so that they could postpone the tax raise for another year and get Talia Jones Water.
No, excuse me. You were doing good for a while until, you were doing really well with your explanation. The meeting is moving forward, let us keep going. So the last thing I want to discuss is the same thing, it's different, but I sent it out to council as well, which is a proposed Yeadon Recreation Center survey. And so what I'll do is just read 3 questions. Once council approves the survey, we will put it online. And one of the questions, just for an example, how many people, and Mr. John, help me with this. How many people in your household are 6 to 12, 13 to 18, and so forth? Are you within walking distance of Yeadon Community Park? Yes or no? Do you have or have access to a car? Have you or anyone in your household used Yeadon Park? If yes, for what activities? We will have 10 questions on our survey that will go out to the residents. You'll have a chance to rate it, and a question might be, do you really want a community park? I mean, a rec center or a community center. So we're going to send that out, ask you for your opinion, tabulate it, and see what the results will be. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to propose, when you send out that survey, you also send out the community application, and then it will be one mailing, and then all the residents can apply for that community improvement.
Well, you don't have to be sarcastic. There was a great suggestion by Ms. Liz, so we can take her suggestion and use it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm following up on the monies, the ARPA monies that were going to be allocated towards our first responders. What's happening with that? Oh, you just want to walk away?
No, ma'am. Madam President,
You could have said, I'm going to pass it off to Madam President. You could have said that.
I'll pass it off to Madam President.
Oh, no. Lord.
First, I want to report on the
So are we
tax
gonna- I'm gonna
collectors
get an answer to the
finance.
question?
Yeah, I'm going to try and answer some of the questions for
You
you.
know what, I'm gonna go
With
home.
regards to the
Good night.
finance.
Good night.
Liz just made a statement that we did not have, that there possibly would not be a collection of a tax levy that was passed last year. You can't turn that upside down or reverse it. The taxes are increased for this year by $1 million. What that dollar amount translates out to, the finance director will have to calculate that and provide that for us at our next meeting. The tax collection so far this year is $940,708.86. That's from our tax collectors report dated 3/30/2023. The ARPA funds was $1.1 million. It was not used to balance the budget. Those funds, as Mr. Dodson had indicated, 200,000 of those dollars, 100,000 has been set aside for this home improvement for folks that perhaps couldn't afford to keep up their facades or pave their driveways. So 100,000 has been set aside for that, and the other 100,000 for the driveways. So as far, that is all the tabulation we have so far. Contrary to reports that are given every month, citizens' participation, we're not, our budget, and we're not in financial distress. That keeps being repeated over and over again, and it's simply not true. We are on sound budget status. We have no deficiencies in our budget
Then why aren't you
whatsoever.
hiring police officers? What's your excuse for that?
And so our
Say it's
budget,
the budget.
excuse me, would you stop that? We have $8 million budget. That is the amount,
$8.5
$8 million.
and a half.
So we are not in any deficit, we're not in any distress or any such thing. So I wanted to just mention that. In addition to that, I'm going to ask our recreation director to come up because the Recreation and Community Development Report is going to give you more information about our upcoming events. Before he comes up, as you're coming up, there's also an issue, Mr. Dodson, that you didn't mention on the approximate cost in your IT report of $7,550 to WATEC. So that needs to be discussed among the councilors before that's approved. Also, there was an issue with regards to the dog catcher guy who has a contract with the borough. He submitted $500 for picking up 2 dogs over the past couple of weeks. So I think that contract had been canceled, and I don't know how he got to submit additional invoices as far as a finance report, a finance committee report. All right.
Can you hear me?
Okay. You may need to. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Very quickly, Yeadon Flag Day will be held on the 10th of June with the rain date the 11th. The Nile Swim Club will be holding an annual Juneteenth celebration on June 16th, 17th, and 18th, the week after Flag Day. So we're not going to run into each other with those events. The Stormwater Coalition is having a rain barrel workshop right here in Borough Hall on the 23rd of May from 6 to 8 right here. So we're going to have it in person. It'll also be online, but we're also going to have it in person. If you have any children who are interested in Camp Garrett, there's still scholarship money available. Camp Garrett's in Marple, Newtown. We've been working with them for it's been the past 15 years or so, but they still have space available. The William Penn School District is also having a summer camp. They had it last year at Alden Elementary School, and I assume they're going to have it again this year. We're working on the rain garden at Gunther and Church Lane. We're also planning on having trees for residents sometime in the fall, and we're going to try to replant some of the trees in the borough that have been taken down. The garden at Community Park is operational, and if you want to be involved, Hakima Jabbar is back there. Raise your hand, and you can, and Liz, you can go right through them, and and we're going to have the garden up again. We have a few more bids this year, I think, so we're going to have a wonderful community garden. Any questions?
I also wanted to announce when the webmasters were here, they mentioned that that one of our former communication contractors, vendors, adopted and kept our Facebook page, would not release it. We contacted the attorneys. It would cost too much to fight to get it back without some high-tech person helping us do that. Now, excuse me. Well, you want to excuse her out, please, for the interruption? She really can't do that. Okay, that's very disrespectful. So I want to say that we still have that. There's also a YouTube channel calling itself the official Yeadon YouTube. It is erroneous, it is not official, it is not authorized by the borough. And so that is going to be challenged so that when someone goes on that site, they are fully aware that it is not, we're looking to take that site down. When Councilor Roadcloud was here making observations about what's appropriate and not appropriate to be on the website, and she was making references to the outburst and the yelling and the screaming, the disruption in the council meetings. Those are council meeting records.
No, they're not.
They're council meetings.
No, they're not.
They're council meetings. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. If you, they,
Out of context, sound bites.
can you,
The full meeting videos are recording, those are official.
okay, you don't have the floor, Liz. You do not have the floor.
Let's come down to 9:30, please.
That information, whether or not the information is a sound bite or a full recording, it was what was authorized to put on.
By you.
Authorized to put on that website in an effort to stop the behavior.
Where is
In
the
an
video?
effort.
Kalia, go kiss my ass. Why is that on here? And then clip it and count everything out.
So yes.
I think the issue is very divided, like the community.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So,
I'll say to you, I more than 2 months ago, had that recommended that they take anything negative off before Mr. Joel Avery before his contract was canceled. I gave instructions to take it down.
You did not.
The reason that I gave instructions to take it down, because we started over fresh and new, didn't last long. After we hired a new police chief, it did not last long. We had 2 or 3 meetings that were peaceful. And since then, it's been the ruckus all over again, including signage that says I'm an embezzler, which I intended to sue in court about, defaming my character without any evidence, without anything, totally untrue. I've got to put up with that every month as I sit here to run this council. I have to put up with the nonsense every month for the past 14 months. Any of you in this position may not have stayed this long. But I am dedicated, excuse me, I've been here longer than you, and I am dedicated to this community.
4 years.
So, yes, Akima, go ahead.
I just want to say that we understand what crime it is in our borough. We don't need to have our website as a tabloid or TMZ.
And I agree with you.
That's what a lot of people are saying. So we want it, and I included, I don't want to see that content. If I want to enjoy it, I can go to the meeting videos themselves. But to have sound bites, I just feel as though it does not make our website objective, and it does not seem, it's not right.
Let me comment, and I just want to respond to what you're saying. When we invited these webmasters over 3 months ago to come and give a presentation and to research and to show us what we needed, we asked each one of them, have you gone on the website? And they went on the website and they said, yeah, you got a pretty raggedy town. A pretty raggedy town. With that comment, persuaded me that even though I want to shame the counselor who's behaving badly, I want to shame you into better, excuse me, and shame you into better behavior. Excuse me. It's not yours either. You're the most disruptive person in here. You're the most disruptive and disrespectful resident that attends these meetings, and it's done on purpose. Yes. I can talk to you after. Okay. You do not have a permission to talk. Mr. Mayor, would you quiet her down, please?
personally recommended removing it. This is not a meeting. There's no counselors here.
I just have a question. Are there any borough employees that can take down the old stuff that's on the website?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeadon Borough was right here. He's maintaining.
No, I said, no. I said borough employees.
At $75 an hour, that's what he works
No,
for.
I'm not talking about him, I'm talking about a borough employee.
The answer is no. The answer is
Go
no.
and leave the document.
The answer is no. You have proprietary information, you have private access. The answer is no.
It's useless.
Okay. That, solicitor's report, solicitor, Mr. Boggs. And you are it, and we can adjourn after you, or after the citizens forum.
Council,
I can't hear you.
I submitted my memo about the public comment, but see, everything.
Could you just come up, sir? Thank you. What I was going to ask you to do, if you could have simply summarize what we did last week on the resolutions that were so important. I think a lot of people here may not have been there.
At the last meeting, we passed a zoning ordinance that was looking into the future, not just for certain treatment clinics that are in existence today, not just for medical marijuana facilities that are in existence today, but thinking about into the future when certain things could become either recreational or when treatments expand into other areas. I believe our zoning code now defines those places. We didn't even have a definition for a pharmacy. There was no distinction between pharmacy and marijuana, which was part of the fight that happened with Restore. So now our zoning code clearly defines certain things and clearly defines where they can be. All of them are in the industrial section, so no one should see, if recreational marijuana becomes legal in the near future, no one should see one of those next to one of their residences. They should be confined to the industrial area. I'll certainly answer any questions about any of that. Sure.
Jump right in.
Aye. Mr. Much and I have given our legal advice multiple times in multiple sessions. That's up to some of the, that's legal advice, that's up to the councilors to disclose, that's not for me to disclose.
You said to remove it, or if it was okay, you just come out and say it's okay. So it's not.
Karen is going against legal advice in her quest to shame
Any other questions about legal stuff that I could possibly answer in public? Okay. Have a wonderful night.
Mr.
Bob.
another question.
I know you can't say what the situation is, but with some of the lawsuits, are any of them getting ready to go to trial or to court anytime soon?
Or settle?
A couple have proposed settlement conferences, but there are, some of you may know, some of you may not, there are things that are not being done that are holding up at least one of the settlement conferences. I can't really say much more about that.
And then who actually makes the decision whether or not if we do settle? Is it the insurance company or is it council?
The assigned attorneys from the insurance company and the insurance company will bring a proposal to me. I present it to council, and it's up to council whether or not to settle or to tell them to go to trial.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boggs. For the Citizens Forum, Liz, on the webmaster. And Mr. Scott Green after that on the webmaster. All right. And the webmaster. All three.
Next week, Tuesday,
Thank you, Madam President. Congratulations on not being able to hold a quorum for your official regular legal meeting. My name is Scott Green. I've been an IT professional for almost 40 years and a Yeadon homeowner for nearly as long. I guess that makes me a plant. We just want a working, reliable, nonpartisan website. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. What's wrong with y'all? Is there a sign outside that says pot of money here, come and get it? Have you done any kind of due diligence in web design? Do any of you know how much a website should cost to design and maintain? Anyone try asking the Google machine how much should a website cost before sticking your hands in our pockets to fund this boondoggle? I did. Forbes.com, not often associated with the budget conscious, estimates a small business website will cost $2,000 to $9,000 to design and only $1,200 in annual maintenance. Website Builder Expert says on average you can expect an upfront charge of around $6,000 with an ongoing cost of $1,000 per year. According to Digital.com, the average cost of website design for a small business ranges from $2,000 to $8,000. And WebFX estimates a web design can cost between $2,000 and $15,000, although they say in most cases small businesses will not reach $15,000 in design costs. Jenkintown Borough budgeted only $6,000 this year for their website, down from $12,000 the previous year. Lansdowne Borough, just down the street, also budgeted $6,000 this year. And I'm inferring from their budget statements that they redesigned their website a couple of years ago for only $14,000. Mr. Dodson, are you aware of this? Have you reached out to your counterpart in Lansdowne to find out what their magic secret is? Do you care? Does anybody care that you're entertaining proposals that are simply irresponsible? Do you know that website design maintenance is most often a fee-for-services hourly business model? Do you have any metrics for measuring contract performance or any aptitude to manage this process? You've already got a pretty poor record with this task. What happened to all the money we gave you last year for the website? Is it nice? Did we make it nice? It was a lot of money. Are we proud of the results? One more question. Have you heard of the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs? You were able to answer the other question. Have you heard about the PSAB? Among other benefits, they offer free and discounted web design services to boroughs, with many features geared to the small municipal government. Many of our neighboring boroughs take advantage of this service, as they can provide appropriate guidance and expertise to local leaders otherwise lacking the abilities to make informed decisions. It would be a dereliction of your fiscal duty to ignore this valuable service. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other residents?
I just want to talk about fiscal management. I think we have to be very careful with regards to what we do with regards to the webmaster. I think, as the other resident just said, those proposals are, at least two of them are outrageous. I think we need to look further. And the other thing is, with regards to the websites, what's currently on there, we need to take some of those things down. We're doing very selective management with regards to the outbursts. If you're going to put something on there, you better show every single outburst of every single counselor, and we all know that that has not happened. So we need to take that down. And there's something else the solicitor had told you before to take off there, and you need to take that off of those things too. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Anna. For Mr. Scott Green, yes, we are familiar with the PSAB. And also, when you made several references to small businesses, the municipality is really not a small business. But I understand what you're saying, but I think the PSAB, I think...
deal with municipalities and
yes.
not businesses.
Well, the leading web presenter tonight talked about working for municipalities, large cities and municipalities. So I don't know if we're comparing apples with apples, Scott, I really don't know, but it's something I think Mr. Dotson will certainly reach out to PSAB. I think that's the most. Well, you have people saying that they can produce today, not what was produced last year or year before or historically, what they can produce today. They made the presentation. Council will have to compare that information and decide what they're going to do about the website. Well, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. You sat here and you heard the presentation like everyone else. They are complex. If you've got to design coding, if you're going to have platforms, social media platforms, if you're going to redesign, if you're going to have photography, if you're going to have all those things, this is our second time of listening to these presentations. So you heard it tonight. We've heard it 2 or 3 times prior. So the council will make that decision. So I just want to close out with that. Okay. Hakima, you can. Okay, Hakima, go ahead.
We need to, y'all need to look at seriously is that social media adding cost that's not really needed. Social media can be handled very easily by crystal staff or someone that.
We have heard so many recommendations. That's why we brought these people, invited these people.
Yes, that's what I'm just saying. Based
That's
on
why
what
we
they're
did it.
saying.
Because even though you say that, if you've got to go to Instagram and you've got to go to all of these social media sites that are driving to your website or whatever, if you're bringing the Yeadon's website into modern times, into current times, contemporary times, then these people are saying, this is what you need. We're not the resident experts. We're not. So we're relying upon these presentations.
It's got to be a public open process.
Sir, I wish you wouldn't do that, Scott, while I'm talking. So the whole idea is to be informed, to get as much instruction and information so that we can digest that information. That's why the counselor said, you've got the presentation, have those people come back and present to us. That's what we did tonight. Mr. Dotson and I went through this with 2 of the webmasters. This is their 3rd time presenting. And 2nd time, you see this ridiculous thing here. This is very ridiculous.
By other vendors for not having a public
So we have done our due diligence in hearing from at least 3 people, 3 companies that have said, hey, we would like to do business for you. We would like to work for you. Now the council has to make a decision.
My last
But I appreciate your comment.
My last comment would be to instruct or inform the colleagues who are absent today to review the tape so they can see the presentation.
Absolutely.
And make an informed decision.
Absolutely. Thank you. If no other comments, we'll go for an adjournment. Thank you for your time.